there's a ton of noise out there. So how do you get decision makers to pay attention to your brand? Start a podcast and invite your ideal clients to be guests on your show. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Ruben Trevino. He is the marketing director at Evenium. Ruben, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. What about you?
I am doing fantastic, man. So we're going to be talking about event tech today, Ruben, and why marketers should be using it. Before we dive into that, you are the guy to be talking about this for a reason. So tell us a little bit about Evenium and what you guys are up to, man.
Great. Yeah, obviously. We are a technology provider for corporate meetings and events. So we deal with small meetings all the way up to 2,000 plus large events. And what we do is we equip professionals with the tools that they need to streamline their events. And so anything from, event management platform, which is used to handle participant registrations, a check-in app to streamline the check-in process, and also an event app that allows people to put in all their event guides, like agenda, important information. Participants can network and even interact with the presenter through live Q&A and polling.
I love it. All right. So as we dive into this, there's kind of four pillars that we're going to be touching on here, Ruben. The first one is engagement. Can you talk to us a little bit about, how marketers can use event tech to really drive that engagement?
Yeah, engagement is such a great word because it's a buzzword. We hear it everywhere.
Yep.
Even on Facebook, for instance, like Facebook Insights as marketers, we all dive into that. Engagement is defined as, likes, comments, and shares. So this is a metric for marketers, right? But is it a metric that goes much further than just, Facebook Insights reporting? It's kind of superficial if you think about it in terms of engagement. And we're in a digital era where, these people they have full access to their mobile phones and digital screens nonstop. So obviously they can like things and retweet things in the palm of their hand. I don't know if you're a Netflix subscriber or not.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen Black Mirror?
Yes, I love that show.
It actually it's a really great series, and they hyperbolize a lot the connected world and how technology is kind of playing a key role in the terms of human development. And it's actually quite frightening if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Flurry Analytics or not. They do a lot of reports. And they found actually that in the U.S., consumers spend 5 hours a day on their mobile phones.
Whew.
And I know it's crazy. And it's up 20% compared to Q4 in 2015. So they haven't released the 2017 reports yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be up again. And it's just phenomenal how much we rely on our mobile devices. So
you mentioned that engagement is a buzzword, but it's also really hard to do in practicality, particularly in an event setting. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Well, yeah, it's definitely hard to do because today, basically we're in a world of ADD where stimulus are all around us. Just even our mobile device, for instance, people they tap their mobile phone about 2,617 times per day. That's about 1 million times per year. That's crazy. And that isn't even top millennials. They're up in the 5,000 plus touches per day. So if we're looking at this on a yearly basis, that's about 2 million touches per year. And that's something that's just distracting them and keeping them from actually being engaged, or really being engaged with the brand. Yeah, we're getting likes, we're getting comments, we're getting retweets on our devices. That's great for us in terms of that engagement metric, but how does that really play out, and how do we do that really?
Yeah. So we've covered two of the four pillars right there between engagement and mobile device usage, and that's insane that people are spending 5 hours a day on their cell phones. But I would actually argue that I probably spend more than that. 1 million screen taps a year per person on average. we're constantly distracted by these things. But in an event setting, if you're hosting a trade show or you're hosting your annual conference, how can we leverage event technology with those first two pillars in mind?
Well, that's a great question, actually. A while back, I'm a fan of your show, by the way. A while back, you had Adam Kleinberg on your show, and he was talking about how B2B marketers they can take a couple of lessons from B2C marketers.
Yep.
And there's one thing that all marketers can definitely agree on, and that's ROI,
Yep.
right? Another buzzword of definitely ROI. And we can't always break that down into likes and into shares and all this stuff. There's much more to it than that. And since we are living in this connected world where we're constantly within a palm's reach of our mobile device and a hashtag away from probably making the biggest mistake of our lives, how can we leverage this technology as marketers to reap in statistics and the benefits of engagement within our audience? And so event tech actually, it allows us to understand our audience in a different perspective. You can use event tech to receive feedback on products, customer experiences, and any other important information that's important for marketers like me and all your other listeners out there.
Yeah. So do you have any examples of how you've seen companies leverage this, really well? Obviously, your tool, it enables a lot of this, customer stories, some, tangible example, Ruben, so that we can kind of get our heads around what this technology can actually enable.
Yeah, a lot of our customers actually, what they do is they use event tech at most of their meetings, whether it's a small one or a large one. And what they do a lot are the pollings. And what a poll is basically it's a question you can ask the audience. And we've seen a lot of examples. We're talking about we go through about 70,000 events per year, even more than that. And these are more of the larger scale events. And we see examples like marketers actually using it for their own benefit, like internal events where they'll say, what was your favorite advert this year? Advertisement, your favorite jingle. They'll get back employee feedback. During product launches, they'll talk about features or they'll ask questions after the feature presentation in the form of a quiz to see if they retain the information or not. There's also apps that allow you to engage with the audience on a different scale. There's something that's called visual collaboration. Basically what it does, it's like you're a speaker, you're on stage, you have an iPad, and you take your iPad and you can actually annotate your slides in real time and add content directly on the spot. And so
that's incredible.
This is how they use it to engage them, because people basically, they're on their phones no matter what. They have to meet their $1 million phone taps per year.
Yeah. Yep. So is there a thing that brands are doing? Because I'm just trying to think through when you're trying to, get feedback from someone, or you're trying to get them to, tell you the favorite feature of the product launch you just announced, or, whatever the case may be. Is there any sort of incentive that they're offering in exchange for doing this? Or is by merely offering it to say, hey, go, open up the app and tell us what you think. Does that work in and of itself, or does there need to be some sort of incentive tied to it?
Well, what happens is there could be an incentive, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way, because we're on site at an event or from a distance, because obviously the technology can work near or far.
Yep.
And honestly, most of the time the attendees are really happy to have their voice heard. So they're able to respond to something. They're able to ask questions. They're able to, get the feedback from the presenter if they need an explanation on something. And this is something that's hard to do because oftentimes we're in the middle of the middle of the audience, and we're kind of shy to raise our hands to get the microphone. And there are other technologies out there, actually, Catchbox. I don't know if you ever heard of them. And
no.
Basically, it's like a microphone in a box, in like a phone box, and you can throw it around. I've
seen that, actually. Yeah,
it's actually really good. You can brand it and whatnot, and that's another way to get customer or mainly audience engagement. But honestly, it's an incentive in themselves, especially if you ask them good questions. We have a huge bank. I can't give you the name, obviously, because we have confidentiality agreements, but we have one of our banking institutions. What they do is the top manager gets on stage and he'll say, okay, have 10 subjects that are ready to go. Which subjects would you like for me to talk about today? And what happens is the crowd becomes kind of an owner of their what's going to happen and what's going to be presented. And the potential ways of it being like used is just, it's obviously based on the imagination of the marketer that's behind it.
Yeah, I love it. So this fourth pillar that we're going to be talking about, Ruben, is legacy. Talk to us about this one.
Okay, yes. I prepared myself for this question. Every time I hear your show, I'm like, oh God, I hope you never ask me that.
So this is the legacy. This actually isn't a fourth pillar, but it is the legacy that you want to leave. Just to give some clarity to that.
Yeah. I'm a huge Apple fan. I worked for Apple. It was one of my first jobs in Austin, Texas. I'm originally from Texas, even if I'm coming to you from Paris, France.
Nice.
And my legacy, or the legacy I'd like to leave, is probably to help people work smarter and not harder. And although I'm a huge Apple fan, there's one thing that Bill Gates once said that has always resonated with me at both a personal and professional level. And that's when he said, I choose the lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. And I think as a marketer today, I've definitely come to understand that we're not all really lazy. We just have too many things to do at once and we can't do it all.
Yeah.
And those who survive are those who adapt. And I want to live in a world where tech is used to our advantage so that our time is being spent where it truly matters.
I love it. That's fantastic, Ruben. This entire interview has been really eye opening to me. I didn't know really a lot of the use cases for how marketers can use event tech, and so I really appreciate you sharing that with myself and with our listeners. If there's somebody listening, they want to learn more about you, follow along with what you're doing, or they want to learn more about Evenium, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Yeah, they can shoot me an email, ruben.trevino@evenium.com. They can find me obviously on LinkedIn. You'll probably have to type in Ruben Trevino with Evenium as well. And I'm also on Twitter. It's rtrev, so not fully Trevino, _MKTG for marketing.
I love it. Awesome, Ruben. Well, again, thank you so much for your time today, man. This has been incredible, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a great one.
To ensure that you never miss an episode of the B2B Growth Show, subscribe to the show in iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device.
If you'd like to connect with B2B executives from all over the world, make sure to join our private Facebook community. There are some incredible conversations happening inside this group. To join, visit b2bgrowthshow.com/FB.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.